All right, guys, this is an episode that's not only about the importance of brand photography and why every entrepreneur needs phenomenal brand photography if you want to be in business and a recognizable high-end brand on the internet, but it's also an inspirational story of a 9-to-5er who was working in a corporate job and took strategic leaps to break free of her 9-to-5 and build and scale a business that's allowed her to be a lifestyle entrepreneur through brand photography. I hope you guys really enjoy this episode of my own personal brand photographer, Jodie Brim. Need some effective tactical advice that actually helps you get results and makes a real difference in your life and business? You've come to the right place. If you're finding yourself here today, it means you're getting ready to gain serious traction in your business, rapidly multiply your income and impact, and you're ready to make it happen while living all out. Guys, I'm Melissa Hinault, your trustworthy corporate dropout turned six-figure business burnout turned happy and healthy CEO of a multi-million-dollar online business. And you're listening to the Burnout to All Out podcast. On this show, we're serving up innovative growth strategies, simple implementation methods to put them into practice, and action-stimulating inspiration tailored specifically for the modern entrepreneur. Let's dive in. All right, we are live, you guys. I've got Jodie Brim here. So excited to interview her today. You guys, Jodie is the woman behind the $1 million brand, Burnout to All Out. You are an incredible human with an incredible experience with brand photography. And you guys, Jodie is my brand, like you're like my brand ambassador. You're like everything.
I'm honored.
So we're so excited to have you here today. So welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is huge. I appreciate it.
Yes. Well, I mean, we're just going to jump right in. As you know, my podcast is Burnout to All Out. So I like to just get right into business, starting with the backstory. Really your journey into entrepreneurship, because I know you haven't always been this badass photographer and owning this company. At some point you had a 9-to-5.
Yes.
So where in your career and life did you decide that you wanted to work for yourself? And where were you?
I was definitely in my early 20s or mid 20s, because originally I went to school and I went to North Carolina A&T State University. I went to grad school at High Point University. And my goal, because I had gotten a master's degree in public administration, specializing in nonprofit organizations. So I wanted to work for the government, and I tried so hard to get in, and I never got in. So I ended up, after grad school, I ended up moving to Atlanta, and that's where I started my corporate career and was working for a for-profit university at the time. And I quickly went up the ladder. 11 months, I was an entry-level position to director-level position within the company. And it's where I learned all the things that I'm actually still applying to this day in my own business. So
isn't it awesome? It's like, sometimes I say out loud, and I shouldn't to my kids, I'm like, I'm not using my college degree for what I do today. I'm not sure that college is necessary. But then it's like, but the journey to the degree and the career that we had set us up for the experience to run the businesses that we do. So then I'm like, well, maybe college is necessary, right?
Absolutely. Hands down. Well, I do have a different viewpoint on college now that I am a business owner. I do share that viewpoint that you have. But I mean, if we'll give her the choice, my daughter, when it comes to that time, and support her in whatever she wants to do. But yeah, I know the skill set that I learned. I was a director of operations at a university, and the things I learned, hands down, the reason why I'm able to run a successful business. So
absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So here you are, director of operations. When did you get the itch or vision?
Well, when I was in Atlanta, first, let me go all the way back. I always carried a film camera with me, probably since the age of like 9, 10.
Oh, okay.
Elementary school. Yeah. My mom would let me get my film developed at the drugstore. I missed those days. So I always carried a film camera. I was always taking photos. But when I was in Atlanta, I got to I had some opportunities. I shot for promotion for the BET Awards show down there. So I was like, ooh, I got the little itch. I was shooting for an entertainment blog at the time. And that's when blogging was a big, big, big thing back then. But I was moving around. I was moving around a lot with my job. Moved from Atlanta, was there only a year. Felt like longer, but I was only there a year, and then moved to Tennessee where I didn't get to, I did do a dabble in photography, just a little bit there with some of the staff members that I was working with at the time. And then I moved to Chicago and did no photography at all because it was just grind time. I went there to open up a campus there. And so when I got married, that is when I was like, okay, I want to start this business. I want to become a wedding photographer. And that's when I got married in 2012, and my wedding photographer allowed me to shadow her. So that's how it all began. And then by 2013, I was able to quit my job. Now, I will say, I just shared this recently on social media because I did not realize I had never shared how I became a full-time photographer. And it was definitely a plan. I'm not the one that's going to tell you to just step out on faith and have no plan. I'm like, no, have faith and a plan. Right. So my husband and I, we were newlyweds and we're both making really good salaries. So but we would live way below our means. So within that first year of when I was in Chicago, I sold my car, had my dream car. I was like 25 when I bought it. So I'm like, what am I going to spend my money on? Because I keep moving. I wanted to buy a condo at the time, but I'm like, I keep moving. I don't know where I'm going to, where I'm going to be. So anyway, I'm trying to give you the short version because it's a long story. This is my 10th year in business. So I'm trying to think back about the details. I sold my car. So that knocked out about 18 grand. And then we literally put my entire salary for one whole year to my debt because I came into the marriage with a lot of debt from student loans, High Point University.
Yes.
It was very expensive.
Yes.
So I came into the relationship with a lot of debt. And so we paid off 100 grand in the first year. And that is what allowed me to go full time. And that is what set me up for success with not being stressed about money and not having my husband to have that pressure about money. And that way I could really do my thing, So that's that's the short version.
I love that you had a plan. You and I are the same. I had $200,000 in college loans for my doctorate, my master's, and my undergrad. And I paid it all off before I walked away from my career.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I did it with my side business, right? While I was working full time. So I love that. Have a plan.
Have a plan. Faith. Yes. And faith.
And faith. Yes.
You gotta believe
I love that.
You can do it. Bet on yourself, right?
So it's been a journey for you. You're wildly successful now. When did you know that you had arrived? Because I know with some of these younger, newer photographers, I mean, you've got your shoots like $5,000 to $10,000 for a branding shoot with you, right?
Yeah.
When did you know that you had arrived and earned the right to charge what you charge?
Oh my gosh. Because first I know what I put into it. And I'll tell you the glow up, the come up. Okay. Because I used to do a ton of headshots, right? And my creative brain, I like to thank my mother for that. She's super creative. My creative brain was like, okay, this is boring. Yeah, I got your headshots, but I need to switch things up. And I'm all about creating your own lane in anything that you do. Mm-hmm. So first, I don't even think I've told you this, Melissa. I used to do photo shoots in my driveway. My neighbors used to crack up. I would literally pop up my backdrop and do $50 photo headshots in my driveway. Then I was like, that's not professional. Let me get a studio. So I got a little studio. And it's not this one, it's the other one that I had with some other girls. And I was doing a ton of headshots there. But I was like, no, we got to do it different. So that's when I created an actual experience. And there's completely difference between just headshots and a brand experience. Yeah. So in that brand experience, what I found was the feedback that I was getting initially before they even saw their photos was the confidence that they had. And I've had people tell me that it feels like therapy. I have people telling me like just how we made them feel just by the experience from their brand and how they felt more empowered to go crush it in their business. So that was like the first light bulb. And then it was just adding value. So what can I do for these busy women that have no time? They don't really want to get in front of the camera. So it was adding on, okay, you don't have time to pick out your outfit. I can do that. You don't have time to create a strategy. We can do that. You know what I mean? So it was creating this whole different lane that nobody really was doing back when I first started doing this in my area. I didn't really have like a competitor, I would say, or anybody just really doing that. So it kind of created my own lane and got people to notice because it was standing out on its own, the experience. So, and then what allowed me to keep raising my rates, which first I was terrified. I will never forget when I raised it to 5,000 because I was booked. I was experiencing that burnout. That burnout was real. I'm like, okay, I love what I do, but Lord, it's a lot of photo shoots.
Yeah.
So I raised my rates gradually. So when I first started my experience, it was like maybe $900. Then I think I raised it like $1,200, like $1,800. Like I was like, just scared, like, oh, are they still gonna buy it? So then when I raised it to 5,000, I will never forget when I did it. I was talking to my mother. I was at my desk at home and I was talking to my mom and I was telling her what I was doing. I was like, I'm just so scared to hit this button because I had already like changed it. And it's just doing it. It's just doing it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah. I could always go down. Yeah. But I know what they were telling me is how these images was making them money. These images help people to sell their books. These images help people to get new clients, new customers. Why should I not be compensated for this gift?
Yes.
So
oh my gosh.
Now, like, girl, I can talk about that all day because I really encourage other photographers to do the same, brand photographers, especially if they have an experience that, it's not just come and get your photos done like the modern day portrait innovations. This is like, no, we're going to make sure that this aligns and these images tell a story about your brand, about you, what you can provide for people. And I'll tell you one quick testimony with one of my mentees out of Florida. She came to me charging about $1,800 for her branding sessions. Now she does pretty much the exact type experience that I do. And she was charging like $1,800. I'm like, girl, and she wasn't even charging like props and stuff. Like, girl, no. And I think sometimes it's giving them that permission or that go ahead, like, and seeing that someone else is doing this and I can do this too. Why not me? Like, why not you? Yeah. So, and she secured literally with probably her first 2 weeks of working with me, a $4,000 shoot.
I love that. So let me ask you this, and we're going to get more into this in a minute, but have you found that by raising your prices, it's changed the demographic of client that you serve?
Absolutely. Definitely. The people that I serve and the people that I attract now, they value their time. They trust me. They trust us. It's not just me either. It's a team of us. So they trust us. They trust, okay, it's not just about the money, but I do think they know, okay, if I'm paying this, if I'm investing this amount in my business, then it better give me some results or a return on my investment. Right. So I think the people that we attract now, people like you who are leading this crazy, amazing empire, building their business and their brand, they don't have time to micromanage. Like they want to leave it in the hands of the expert and know that they're going to do the great job. So I definitely attract more of the female CEO that's been in business for a while and they may be rebranding, scaling their business even more where they don't have time to DIY.
Totally. Well, it's funny because when you invoice me $5,000 for a branding session, I'm like, I don't
literally you pay it in full. Melissa, right. I'm like, dang, like Melissa, honey, I appreciate, and I love working with you because you know where you're going. And that, we talked about that at your conference. Like, it's so much easier for us to do our part when you already have a vision. And we can tweak things along the way on our end that's not your wheelhouse, and you trust us to do that. That's the people that I like to work with, for sure.
Yeah. And I love this. And I want to take it back for a minute, though, because humble beginnings, right? So I paid in full for a photo session. We were doing our books, like we're doing our end of year books right now for my business. And my CFO was like, you spent like $25,000 on photos this year. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. But listen, here's the deal. It didn't always start that way. And I want to bring you guys back to the beginning, and we're going to dive into personal branding and image and all the things with Jodie in just a second. But for my listeners now, I want you guys to remember that just 3 years ago, this October, I launched my coaching business. Yeah. And I was charging $100 for my course. I was not $1 million brand. I was not a 5-figure brand. It was an idea and a vision of where I was headed and the client base I was going to serve. And I'll never forget my team at the time said, Melissa, we need some fresh photos for you. We've got to build a website for you. We're going to need assets that are polished, like for your workbooks and for the promotional stuff. And I remember resisting it tremendously because I'm like, what a waste of money. No. And I was at my team. I hire people to work for me that are smarter than me, like in every space. Right. And so I'm like, okay, well, these people are in place because they know what they're doing and I'm going to listen. And I hired Jodie, and I remember spending what felt like a fortune at the time at investing in her brand shoot. And I'm here to tell you that the professionalism, the photos, the vision that Jodie had, and all the assets that were ultimately created on the back end from a photography standpoint created my image, created the brand that I wanted to move into on social media. And it began to attract the ideal client. And to this day, if you guys have watched and followed my brand with Jodie, year over year, month over month, our images and lifestyle and branding is absolutely maybe one of the most important investments in my business. Because if you're not on social media and you're not visible on your websites and you don't have polished photos for your branding with your workbooks and all the opt-ins and all the things, you're only as good on social media as you're showing up as a brand. And so my point in all of this is like, Jodie had the vision. To this day, she's like my brand ambassador. Like, she had the vision and helped create the assets that launched this business. And at every photo shoot, we were thinking the next year, what level do we want to be? What type of CEO do we want to be? What kind of image do we want to have? Right.
Amen.
And now I am a serial investor in these photos. Like, we're together like every month, right? Because it's so, image is so important. And if you're resisting this as an online business owner, you need to just get your head out of a hole, because the photos are really, really important. So let's get into that.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, you need to be able to reach your customers, and people are spending an increasingly amount of time online. Like, it's the new mall. When's the last time you've been to the mall, Melissa? Do you go to the mall?
I walked down Rodeo Drive the other day.
Okay, listen, I saw you in Beverly Hills. Well, I mean, I don't even remember the last time I went to the mall. Maybe there are still a lot of mall goers, but not nearly the way it used to be. And I mean, if you want to stay competitive, you need an online presence. And especially if you're an online entrepreneur, I mean, but any product-based business, service-based business, you need to make it easy for people to find what they're looking for. That's a website that is easy to navigate. That's a clean design on the website with a clear messaging, like not, my website back in the day, Lord, talk about humble beginnings, honey. You should have seen my website back in the day. I DIY'd it. I would not recommend that. Trust the experts. Hire a professional brand designer and a web designer to launch your brand if you haven't launched it yet. And social media accounts, like making sure that you're actually active and your messaging is clear about what you offer. You go to Melissa's page, you know exactly where you can fit in on what she's offering. Like, if you want to do her mastermind, you want to take her LinkedIn Method Academy. I know, of course, because I've worked. If I didn't know anything about you, I know when I come to your page, what you can help me with, So the internet's ever changing. It's changed our lives, but I know that you have to stay connected to the people, and you have to make sure that you're giving them valuable information about what they need from you.
Yeah. And imagery is so important. Let's just go down in this rabbit hole for a minute. I mean, I think about those of you, obviously, if you're listening to this, you follow me, but Jodie was at my live event. And by the way, I've gotten a lot of inquiries about like my outfits, right? Jodie had the vision for all of that. She picked all the outfits out. She's like, had this whole boss, like bad bitch boss vision of me that I never could have put together myself. Although I did go on Pinterest and find the Mohawk look.
Oh, yes, that was you.
But my point is, working and collaborating with her as kind of the visionary of the brand prior to the event, and knowing that these were going to be social assets that they were going to capture on social, on video, on camera, that literally days and weeks after the event, we're trickling out a lot of these photos, which gives us inquiries and FOMO for our next live event. Like, everyone is very aware of the energy and the excitement and the fun that happened. And had I not hired an amazing team to come in and take photos and get video, there's 2 mastermind members I wouldn't have closed. I'd be $40,000 less in my pocket right now had I not literally just posted your photos and videos that you created. We're going to talk about videos in a second.
That's the worst thing too,
over on LinkedIn.
That's the worst thing is you have this amazing event that you invest money into decor, create an experience for your attendees, and then your images, low quality. Or you don't even hire professional photographers, videographers. Like, wow. I've seen people do that. Like, I'm like, wow. all this beauty, and even weddings, like not just on business. I've seen weddings, like hire a professional wedding photographer.
Yes.
You have all this beautiful
that much money,
these memories, and then you don't hire. You get somebody that just has a cute camera, the big camera is what they call it. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, so yeah,
we took Jodie's photos and videos from our live event. We already have our Burnout to All Out Nashville live event website on a webpage. You can see, like, we've already sold out of our VIP tickets.
Oh my gosh, I need to see that. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So my point is, like, I'll just say this one more time. If you don't have imagery and a physical brand, personal brand from a photography and video standpoint online, you're obsolete. You are truly obsolete. Like, again, I closed 2 mastermind members last week while I was in Beverly Hills. I was not even working. I mean, you could say I was working, but it's fun because it's business, right? And I got 2 inquiries from LinkedIn who were connections of mine who'd seen the photos and the videos from the event and inquired about the mastermind. And I closed them. I worked for 20 minutes that week and closed 2 mastermind members because we had the foresight to have the photos and the videos socialized on social media. So let me ask you this, Jodie.
Yeah.
So all of us as entrepreneurs have had to learn how to pivot with changes and how we do business. And I know that, historically Instagram has been known as like the photo place, but there's been obviously a big swing with more reels. How have you, I know that you've got these phenomenal branding shoots, but I also know you and I have gotten really creative with video and reels lately. So talk to me a little bit as an entrepreneur, how you pivot and move with the market and continue to grow your business with the market demand.
Yes. Okay. Good question, because it's almost like when you're operating in your gift and your passion, because I am passionate about what I do, I feel as though I was ahead of the game before it even happened. And it wasn't like that, honestly, wasn't intentional. My thought was bring on a videographer, because we've had a videographer. We've been doing brand films since 2018 that I added, because the first year I started to do specialized experiences, because I told you I was doing a ton of headshots. The experience didn't really come until 2017. And 2018, I brought on a filmmaker. I'm like, we need to get their energy, because I'm having these awesome photo shoots with people. And I'm like, we need to get you behind the camera talking. And that was like, oh my gosh, that is the most terrifying thing for a lot of the people that we work with, is getting their confidence on camera and for them to feel comfortable enough to become, have a personal brand and become the face of the brand, if that. So I know that my team was ahead of the game when it came to all the changes within the Instagram and making sure that you have all this video content. So it was an easy transition for us, but I did make a transition and a pivot to providing a separate entire service that is just creating reels. So we have people that we do like 3 reels. We do it for you too. 3, it might be 3, depending on what we got. Melissa got a lot of stuff, but the standard is like 3 reels that we'll create that's produced. Like, so I am the producer, Amber's on the team. She's the filmmaker, the videographer, and I help you with the strategy and to make sure that this reel is going to help you get what you need, what you want it to do for you. What do you want it to do for you? Because I'm like, okay, what do you want these pictures to do for you? That's what I used to say. What do you want these videos to do? What do you want people to feel from it? So definitely staying ahead of trends. Trends are great, but I think it needs to make sure it fits your brand. Sometimes trends, may not always fit your brand. It's better to stick to what works best for your brand and your company rather than just trying to follow what's hot. So for me, what worked for my brand was getting people to share their story. My whole catchphrase and my slogan is showcasing the story behind the brand. So for me, it was an easy thing to pivot in a sense of providing more video services. Before we were just doing like a promo, like a commercial, but now it's like very specialized. Like, no, you all need fresh content that's video too, instead of just doing the fresh content that was photos. So yeah.
Well, and I love this. And that's where like Jodie and I's relationship has evolved so much. I mean, we do a session at least once every half year, if not once every quarter, for like our branding sessions for just fresh photos, for social assets, for website, all those things. But now we're incorporating monthly video sessions. And I love what you said about do what's kind of authentic and on brand for you. So a lot of my listeners are more kind of the LinkedIn folks. And so what I want to share with you guys that we've been on a journey with Jodie and discovered is, I am, very much an advocate of creating videos that provide a lot of value and being the authority. And so we brainstorm prior to the videos for reels, and we come up with kind of the core concepts of what we want to record. And my community knows I love time blocking because I'm very busy. If I'm going to do it, let's just knock it out all at one time. And so what we do is once a month, Jodie and her videographer, Amber, come over, and for like 2 hours,
that's it.
We bang through a ton of videos and we're done. And what we're learning, and again, it's if you guys go to my Instagram or over to LinkedIn, you'll see them. They're very authentically on brand for me. They're asking me questions around business, questions around, being a mom, questions around LinkedIn. And we're able to make it on brand, but meet the trends on the platform and repurpose, meaning what we're finding is the video we're doing with Jodie and my copywriter, Sadie, is converting really well over on LinkedIn because people love the video clips.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's brilliant. Hey, friend, I just wanted to pop in to remind you that I'm hosting a free, you heard that right, free masterclass starting January 23rd. In this masterclass, I'm sharing the exact organic lead generation tactics I use to scale my income from $0 to 1 million in just 19 months. Thousands of service-based business owners, coaches, and sales pros have already attended this masterclass and watched their sales skyrocket. If you want to accelerate your lead gen results and optimize your business's profitability, you do not want to miss this opportunity to learn how to leverage the world's premier business network for free. Again, this is for business owners and entrepreneurs who want to generate thousands of leads without tirelessly fighting to get eyes on their brand. If that sounds like you, here's what I want you to do. Head to the show notes of this podcast episode for the link to sign up for the LinkedIn Lead Gen Masterclass. The URL is www.livethefreelife.co/the-masterclass. After you register, go and block out time in your calendar for each masterclass training session. Get really intentional about how you prepare yourself for this learning experience so that you're able to fully absorb the information, put it into action, and start seeing the results. Can't wait to see you there. Okay. I want to go back because we were talking branding and all the things. So I wanted to go down in that rabbit hole. But I also love hearing lessons learned in business. So I heard you say that there was a moment where you were taking on a ton of clients. You weren't charging quite enough yet. I'm curious. I'd love to hear a story where maybe you had, as an entrepreneur growing and scaling, a wall kicking moment where in retrospect, it ended up being a blessing. But when you were going through it, maybe it wasn't so fun, but there was a lesson or a blessing on the back end that landed you just the toughest, biggest lesson maybe you've learned in business.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you a story of when I was scaling and I'm seeing, I think that was like 2018, 2019, where I really 2014 was where I saw the turn of my business. Like, wow, we're doing well. And that was the only reason I felt like we started doing really well was because I started to truly invest in my business. I told you I started 2012. When I started really investing, and I'm talking about 5 figures at that point of investing into my business. What was lacking and what I was so hesitant about was bringing someone on to help me. I had to get out of that funk of, I had the mindset of wanting to do everything because I was proud that I could do this. I can do that. I can do my website. I can do this, take my own photos. I still do that sometimes. But anyway, I was doing everything. And what hit me was when my daughter was 4. I think she was 4. She's 7 now. She said, she saw me working and she said, "Mommy, are you working again?" And it just pulled at me. And I could see in her cute little face, She just wanted to play with mommy. Why is mommy always working?
Mm-hmm.
Now I know that there are some times where you have your time for work. But me during that time, Melissa, I was not putting my family first. I was not. I was putting work first. And I was working 7 days a week. I was always working on my business. I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with the results. I was obsessed with the testimonies. Like it was driving me to burnout.
And by the way, I think that RT and I just talked about this. I do believe there's a season in business where we all have to be in that state to get the momentum.
There you go.
Right.
True.
But then it's the recognition of like,
it's recognizing it. And I recognize it. I'm like, okay, so what was the blessing in the mess? There's a lot. I'm trying to decide which one I want to share. I will say we had life happen to us in our family. I won't go into too much detail, but my husband had gotten sick and it was out of the blue, and he almost passed away twice. It was devastating. So, but what lit a fire in me was like, okay, I was going hard, but I wasn't going hard enough in my business to really create change and make a true impact in my clients' businesses. So I don't know what it was, but honey, a light just turned on and I said, okay, how can I do this? But how can I do this where it works well for my life? And I'm not making my business, or I'm not living my life for my business. You know what I mean? Like making sure that my business operates around my life. So in that case, that's when I started outsourcing my entire life. Started outsourcing everything.
Yes,
I started outsourcing so much. I was working with a VA, just bought some hours. Like it was the smallest of the smallest package, but I got a taste of what it would be like to not have to do client invoices, just like things behind the scenes with the back office and the creative process, and not so much the shooting. The shooting is just like 10% of the work. And then I ended up bringing on a VA who now, Jen, she's my business manager. We've worked together, I think three years now, and completely changed the game for me. Completely gave me my life back. She would block off things on my calendar, like just Jodie time. And I wouldn't tell her to do that. I'm like, okay, she sees that, okay, I've said yes to some things that she probably told me not to. So I think outsourcing for business purposes was the first thing I did that changed everything for me. Outsourcing editing changed everything for me. And not staying up to 2 a.m. editing changed everything for me. But then when I got a taste of that, I'm like, okay, what can we do over here in the personal life? And I've shared that with you. Like now we have a chef that comes in once a week. She does our meal preps. She makes all the lunches and the dinners. All I have to cook now are breakfast. And I don't know when I don't think I could ever go back to that. We were talking about Thanksgiving
100%.
dinner. I was like, are you going to make Thanksgiving dinner? I'm like, I can. He was
Let me tell you, Whole Foods, you can order ahead a whole turkey.
Oh my gosh.
And so really good. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think the blessing was seeing what I could truly do with the time that I have, and how I did not realize how I was not maximizing my time. So I was telling my therapist, I was talking to her, and I was telling her like how I get so irritated when I feel like I've wasted my time. Yes. And that's like a true pet peeve for me. So when I go somewhere, I better have fun with you. If it's like a personal thing, it's not for work, we better be having some fun. Okay. I don't want to be around nobody stuffy and boring. So, and if I'm going to accept like this podcast, I love you. I love working with you. It's an easy yes. You know what I mean? So it just helped me to realize what to say yes to, what to say no to, and to be okay with those boundaries.
What a good lesson. And would you say that you're healthier and happier and more profitable than ever? Like,
oh my gosh. I would definitely say that. When I first hit six figures, it's crazy how long it took me. It took me 6 years. 6 years. 6 years to hit six figures. Had I known the things I know now, oh my gosh. Like there's no way. The things that I'm sharing now with brand photographers is definitely going to make it 10 times easier for them to hit it. Like you could even hit it your first year if you really go do it the right way. Yeah. So I would say now I don't stay up late. Like me and my husband, we are in the bed. Typically in the bed, we want to be in about 10 o'clock. You know, I've been having 5 a.m. mornings. I'm not like you. It's not every morning, but the fact that I've had a few 5 a.m. mornings lately, wow, like who am I? Yeah. So that is just creating new routines and being okay if I don't hit it every time. And just, you know, if something else needs to happen, if it's something like, hey, no, I needed that extra rest, be okay with that. No, I needed that extra hour today. Be okay with that and not beat myself up about it, because I tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist and I'm naturally driven. So I have to really bring that in and just be okay with not doing all things.
Yeah.
I've gotten better with that for sure.
That's so good. It's so good. And I'm sure that delegating out things like editing and not being up till 2 a.m.
They're amazing. They're amazing.
Creating more energy for you and time for you to be more in your zone of genius and more profitable in the business, right?
Yes. Like your event, when we did the VIP photos. Now, thankfully, like that's why I teach photographers too, like get it right in camera. So you don't have to have all this editing in the back end, because there's a lot of photographers that they shoot different. We all shoot differently, but the way I shoot is I try to get the lighting, everything right in camera so that our editor doesn't have to spend a ton of work on editing. So, I mean, she edited that. Did you see the gallery? I sent it to you. Did you see it?
I have not seen it.
Oh, you have to look at it. They're so good.
I've got time in my calendar tomorrow.
Okay.
Get through all my emails.
Yeah, they're really good. So, and that was that was a lot of photos. That was a lot.
It was a ton.
So.
Well, and so speaking of that, for those of you guys who are listening and you listen to the replay, Jodie is actually doing our brand sessions for our mastermind members out in Arizona in February. It's one of the things that's part of our package in our mastermind is building that $1 million brand and building that credibility and recognition online. So excited that Jodie's going to be flying out there along with Amber to do their videos. So just a shameless plug there. We haven't actually gone public with our mastermind yet. We've got 5 seats left that we're going to be opening up to the academy next week first. But just putting that in your ear for any listeners who are like, oh my gosh, But speaking of that, Jodie, what's on the horizon for you? What's next for you?
Oh my gosh, what's next? I sat with that for a little bit. There was a season of stillness this summer, and what's next, and making the right move and second guessing myself. Am I making the right decision? So I always am thinking, okay, my short term is a year. Like people think short term, 3 months. No, my short term is like, what am I doing this time next year? So the plans that we have, I'm so pumped about it. I am going to be taking on a limited amount of branding sessions. Normally I'll just stick to my members, brand members that I'm doing. And then we have just a limited amount of shoots that we're doing for the full shebang, like the full experience. And that's what I do. We have associate photographers that do studio sessions in the studio here. And then I have an associate headshot photographer as well, that if you just need a quick LinkedIn photo or just a profile photo, then I have them on board. So I just brought her on. Her name is Crystal. And she's actually my best friend. So it's like amazing that we get to work together. And then we've been working together for years, ever since I was in weddings. So the short term for me is creating more content for brand photographers. I have a course that's coming out, Brand Photographer Bootcamp, that is like right at the end of being launched and finished.
Yeah.
And then just some other things that just the speaking engagements that I would like to do, and closing off my calendar to newer clients the last 6 months of the year. So really limiting like what I'm doing next year as far as photos, because I have an amazing team. And if you want to get in, if you are new, I would recommend getting early because it takes about 2 months of prep. So limiting, probably shooting only, let me give you an example. I was doing probably about 4 to 5 full big shoots a week, So now I'm going to like 1.
Yeah.
For new clients.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's it's scary. It's scary. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm like, okay, we're doing this. Okay. And I'm taking 3 months off of just like no shooting at all. So
but you need that space to get creative with where you're headed, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you've got so many tabs open and you don't have the time and energy to create.
So many tabs open in my head. You have no idea. So, so I'm looking forward to allowing my team to keep building and building and building with their clientele. It's amazing. I'm so proud of them. And then Amber and we still do our thing. So, it's going to be a good 2023. I can see a lot of change happening, but for good for everyone, for me and our team too. So we're not overworked and burnt out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So exciting. Well, it's been so fun to like unpack your story. So where can everybody find you? Where's the best place for them to come find you?
Well, I live on Instagram, but I am getting on the LinkedIn. Okay.
Yes.
I am on there, but I'm not on there, but I need to be. But at Jodie Brim with an IE, Jodie Brim would be best on Instagram. I live there. So check me out over there.
Awesome. Well, Jodie, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and spending time on my podcast instead of taking a shoot right now.
Right? Honored.
And I can't wait to check out all the photos that you did for the VIP group.
Yes. I can't wait to see.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, guys, so much for listening in on today's podcast episode. I can't wait for you to see my upcoming guest in the next episode. You are going to love this keynote speaker. Hey, here's the deal. If you liked this, please subscribe and leave a review. And you want the latest online business growth strategies and exclusive LinkedIn pro tips sent straight to your phone? Text the word updates to 1-833-310-7171. Again, text the word updates to 1-833-310-7171. Can't wait to see you guys. Come find me over on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you like to hang. Cannot wait to hear how you are enjoying and applying what you're learning. You guys reach out to me over on social because I love hearing what's resonating with you. When you reach out to me and you send me those personal DMs, they really do impact the content I continue to bring forward to you. So again, come find me, Melissa_Hinault over on Instagram, Melissa Hinault over on LinkedIn and Facebook. Can't wait to see you guys over there.